Where's my countdown?
I see it there.
Hi, I'm Daniel Litis, and welcome to Book 101 Review. Book 101 is all about the books that I read for the last 40 years. And today I have my special guest. She's an author and animal communicator expert, no other than Miss Anne Angelo Webb. Welcome, Miss Anne, our Book 101 review. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I
Hi.
missed?
Thank you so much for having me. Yes, my name is Anne Angelo Webb, and I'm the author of Misha's Heart Adventure Emotional Regulation while learning how animals think and feel.
And thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. Hoping for more and more books like this to come, Miss Anne. So tell us, what is the initial spark of inspiration for Misha Heart Adventure? And what is the desire to teach emotional regulation, a love of animal, and combination of both?
Yeah, it's a few things, but I'll try to keep it succinct. So I'm a professional animal communicator. I've been doing this for over 20 years professionally. And what that means is that I understand what animals are thinking and feeling, and that can be done using any sense that you have. Many of us see images or videos kind of in your mind's eye, or you will hear a sentence, or you'll feel something in your body that will be like a medical intuitive sort of a situation where you'll feel what an animal is feeling. You might even smell what they're smelling or taste their food. You can help find missing animals. You can sense just when they're having a problem, that they're unhappy with something. And although I've been doing this since I was a child, I became aware of what I was doing when I was invited to a class in my early 20s, I guess. So it's been a while. So um, I began to really hone that skill, teach it to other people, and I've grown that into a school, Animal Intuitive Academy, and I became an animal acupressure and massage practitioner, nationally board certified, to add to that skill base. And the book was inspired by both my dog, but also many of my clients. And I really felt that, when I think about the fact that as a child, I can look back at times when I understood what my pets were feeling and thinking, but I didn't really know that I was doing it. And that's another thing. It can just sort of be a knowing a lot of times. It's just kind of, that you know what they're feeling and thinking. And I didn't kind of realize what I was doing until I was invited to take a class in it. And then it was given a name. So it's sort of like you start out life breathing, and then someone tells you what breathing is. And so that's how I ended up, I kept studying it. I trained with many good, real solid people who are leaders in the field from long ago, been around for a long time. And I really grew that skill, worked with a lot of people, and opened my school. And the book came out of my relationship partly with my dog, Misha. And it is a fictional book, but it is based on her origin story, her life, how she came to be, and sort of how we came to be together. But it is, again, fictional. It's a children's book, and it helps children to stay in touch with that and recognize it from an early age, instead of being like I was, where you didn't know you don't know you're doing it until it smacks you in the face later in life. So my intention has always been to help people keep that ability that they sort of lose as they grow in life, as they get older. And that can be for a lot of reasons. There can be societal reasons that people lose the touch with that ability to communicate with animals or to recognize that they're doing it. It can be family reasons. It can be many different things, confidence issues, things like that. And, one of those reasons can be just people who get stressed out in life and get out of touch with that grounded feeling. And many of us have that, especially as we know in this day and age. We're always being kind of taken out of that grounded feeling where you're in tune with yourself, you're in tune with nature, and you have to sometimes now work at it. And it can lead to things like anxiety and stress, but some kids just have that, and some adults just have anxiety and stress. And the book is to help kids it's kind of woven into the story about Misha sort of demonstrating how she uses certain techniques and tools to help her to ground herself when she's been going through a difficult situation of being separated from her family. And I'm
Miss
a
Anne.
licensed clinical social worker, so it kind of that's that I forgot to mention that. That's an important
Yes,
piece to that.
definitely. And beyond just identifying emotions, what practical tools or adventure skills does Misha learn to help her manage and regulate those big feelings?
She does things like grounding exercises that her mother sort of guides her through, and this is part of the distance connection that we can have with our animals through animal communication. But she helps her with things like deep breathing, regulating her emotions that way, and just sort of different ways of thinking about things. So it's also a faith based book, and it doesn't matter, technically to me. I tried to me, as a person who I would say God, that's when I talk about faith, I'm referring to God. But for some people, you might just say a power bigger than themselves. And in the book, that's sort of woven in there as well as something that helps her to persevere and overcome through this trial that she's going through.
Interesting, Miss Anne. And for a child reading the book, what is the key takeaway about what they should do when they are feeling strong emotion like frustration or sadness inspired by Misha? Example.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Well, there's times in the book where she, without giving all the details away, but where she has to kind of find that center. She needs to focus on her breathing, focus on her being mindful of what she's experiencing, naming it, and learning to learning how to gain mastery over that, learning how to control that emotion and be able to think straight ultimately in situations where she's stressed out. And also to just demonstrates other ways of thinking about things. Like sometimes we need to think differently about situations that we're in, and the mother is there too in the book to help guide her through that and help her with that. And there's other beings in the book, other animals, and there's a lot going on. She meets a lot of people and animals in the book, and ultimately going through all these experiences that are challenging for her, she comes to a place where she has confidence in herself. She has faith in the situation that she is going to persevere, and she's going to she finds her purpose in life, let's just say, and it helps her to feel like she can now focus on something positive that she can go on to achieve what she's looking to do.
Miss Anne, how does the book help children develop empathy, not just for animals, but for other people in their lives who are also experiencing big feelings?
Well, I just think if you can empathize, if you can learn and understand that animals are sentient beings, they have feelings, that that obviously helps with building empathy, and there's crossover with that for just in general in life. That if you can empathize with an animal, that you can that is going to tap into a part of a child, that their heart, their understanding of others, and also to understand that maybe another person is having struggles with stress or dealing with big feelings, as we call them. And maybe that's something they're going to be able to offer to show another child, how to help them with their big feelings, because they learned that from Misha. And there's also an album that goes with the book, and actually the album I recorded first, and the book evolved from the songs in the album, so to speak. So the album teaches things like that too. Some of the album is just some fun songs. Rub My Belly became a big streaming popular hit for a while there. I had to
Mhm.
kind of change distributors, so it lost its status, but I'm trying to get it rising back up. So please go out there and search on your streaming platforms. It's out there everywhere. Misha's Heart Adventure. Sometimes you have to search for it, but through those songs, you also learn about animals, and also just what animals, it helps children learn about animals, like things that they need. Some of the songs, and some of the things in the book help children just to understand some practical things about animals, what that animals need certain things and they enjoy certain things, and um, they need to go out on walks and things like that.
Hmm. The concept is brilliant in its duality, Miss Anne, teaching emotional intelligence and animal empathy simultaneously. What was the biggest challenge in weaving these two lessons seamlessly into one narrative?
Challenge, I think they go together so well. I don't know that there was much of a challenge because the animal communication is so much about empathy. At the same time, you do as an animal communicator when you're professional, you have to, just kind of like a therapist in a similar way, you do have to have some kind of boundaries in order to remain present to the other person, because you don't want your own feelings to override what that person's experiencing or that animal is experiencing. So that would be the only thing, but I think that it's, this is a children's book, so we don't go too heavy duty into that kind of
Mhm.
thing, but it begins to show, I think it does pretty it weaves pretty well together, the animal communication, and because it also shows like how people don't recognize sometimes that animals have thoughts and feelings. Misha, for example, is trying to talk to people and they're not understanding her for a very, big part of the book, so people don't recognize that she has thoughts and feelings, and that's something that animals deal with in our world all the time. Our animals are loving it when we finally connect in with them and recognize what they have to say, what they're feeling, what their thoughts are.
Can you share a moment in the book that you are particularly proud of, where the text and illustrations work perfectly together to convey its message?
There's a scene where the mother is communicating. I guess I might be giving away the ending of this book a little bit, but just to kind of hint at it, the mother is able to support and be there for Misha and also her new life, and help her with, without being disconnected from her. So I feel like that is really an important theme because, I started out actually as a social worker. I worked in the New York City foster care system. And so that was my basis when I started as a social worker, and I worked with children for many years, trauma and abuse. And so I feel like the book has that underlying message. It's actually a really good book for kids who might be separated from their family, or their loved ones. It's an excellent book for that. So I'm very proud of that. But there in that aspect of it. But there is a particular scene towards the end that I'm thinking of that kind of brings everything together, so to speak.
So, Miss Anne, as an author and animal communicator expert, what are your short term and long term goals?
Well, I've been doing this for a long time. I've built up a lot. I built up to where I have digital classes. I have some live classes that I do sometimes. And, at this point, I also do hypnosis with people and brain spotting. These are things I use to help people, obviously. And at this point in time, I really just want to continue. The book was a big culmination. It took a long time to finally get it out, get the artwork done, all that sort of stuff, and have the album out and everything, and being able to donate part of the proceeds of the book to the Warrior Dog Foundation, which right now, and I'm continuing to do that for the time being. I've done it since I I published the book this year. So being able to support something like that, the Warrior Dog Foundation is an organization that helps to rescue dogs that have served our country. So canines who have served in both the military, also police dogs, variety of roles, but also to, reunite dogs who maybe were overseas serving in the military and then their handlers here. And it can be a challenge to reunite them into, because these are working military dogs, and sometimes they have to be rehabilitated. They need a lot of help. They need a lot of care. And it gets expensive. So being able to support the Warrior Dog Foundation, which was started by Mike Ritland, he has a podcast, the Mike Drop podcast on YouTube. But they have, excuse me, they have the Home with Handlers program as a sub, part of what they do too, and that's the one where they reunite the dogs. So being able to do all of that, I've had him on my show, and Chris Kappa from the Home with Handlers program division, to talk about what they do. So I'm really proud of that, just being able to support our military and law enforcement canines, and being able to help dogs who otherwise would be. I don't know how, if this is a family friendly show, but these are dogs that might not be able to be around because unfortunately they need a certain amount of care. So this organization helps them to continue on.
For sure, it continue on at that. Good luck to your goals, Miss Anne, and looking forward for more success. And what will be your piece of advice for those people out there want to be an author like you?
Well, if you have a story to tell, just start writing. I would not worry about the ultimate goal, like if I'm going to get a publisher, that kind of thing. I am self-published, and I will tell you, it's not easy. You do need a lot of fortitude. It can be challenging at times, but don't let your story go untold if you really believe in it. Just keep going with it. And if sometimes self-publishing can be better than going with a regular publisher for various reasons. So, just keep going and believe in what you've done. Believe in your story.
Believing within yourself, people. And can you please recommend a book or books that influence your journey, Miss Anne?
Oh my, you're catching me off guard a little bit. uh, Books that influenced my journey, or my book, my
Or either
journey.
of your books, or with do you want to recommend to our listeners?
Oh boy. I have to tell you that when I think about, I don't have a lot of time for light reading. A lot of time just to kind of relax and read. A lot of what I do is study, to keep up my skills and grow my skills. So, when I do read, I will be honest with you, a lot of times, or listen to, it's the Bible for me. It keeps me grounded, and I really am a Jesus follower. I like, the message of Jesus and the way that he taught people to love each other. And I think that that's you really can't do better than that.
Hmm. Definitely. And thank you for that recommended book, Miss Anne. And how does fostering a connection with animals and nature from a young age contribute a child's overall emotional and psychological well being?
Well, I mean, there's even studies that show how important it is to be grounded, be in touch with nature, go for walks outside, just take in that energy. It's been proven to be so important. So, I would encourage that. I think it's super important that we put in the effort to do that nowadays. We've gotten so kind of shut in and disconnected and into our devices and things like that. So that would be what I would say.
Mhm. Definitely. And Miss, and before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people, because my abstract essay is already in fifth season. Abstract poetry in second season. I'm a book one review in fifth season too. Comedy one in second season, and Food 101 in the fifth season as well. Geography 101 fourth season. And My Baby Podcast Law 101 and Mental Health 101. Love Letters in third season. And Movie 101 Review Music 101 and fourth season. And Science 101 and Sex 101 in each season. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcasts. So, Miss Anne, if you could summarize the heart of Misha Adventures in one sentence for both children and adults who read with them, what would it be?
Well, I guess it would be giving animals a voice.
Yes, definitely. Give them a voice.
Yeah,
And
that's kind of my theme on my YouTube channel too, is giving animals a voice. I have the Animal Intuitive channel on YouTube and podcast, and that's always what I say. This is about giving animals a voice.
yes, and what do you hope is a long-term impact on a child who internalizes the book's messages that it's okay to feel big feelings as they have the power to navigate them?
I hope that's really it. I hope that they take away from that some of the tools that they can use practically, and also understand that it is okay, that it's not strange or odd to have big feelings and to maybe struggle with anxiety or fears, and also to be able to take away from it that they are not ever really separated from the ones that they love. That you can always be connected. We're always connected through our hearts, and I hope that they take away that they have this ability to do that and not to lose it, and to always stay in touch with that inborn ability to communicate with animals and to be connected. And I also do have a special offer, if I might, for your I wanted to offer your audience for a 10% off any of my digital products on my Animal Intuitive Academy, um, which you can get to through my website, intuitivetouchanimalcare.com. That's usually the best way, but search Anne Angelo Webb. And if you go to download anything that's a digital product, you can use the 10%, and the code for your listeners would be book 10110. And I'll have that
Yes,
up for 2 weeks from whenever this is posted. Just let me know whenever
yes.
this is up.
Definitely. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, Miss Anne.
Thank you. Thank you
And
for
can
having
you,
me.
yes, and can you please again invite our listeners to support your books, your advocacy, or business, or whatever projects that you're doing right now?
Thank you.
Yeah. So where do people can reach you, Miss Anne?
Definitely that Intuitive Touch Animal Care website, and my academy through there, Animal Intuitive Academy. And also, please come and join us on my channel. I have tons and tons of videos, playlist to learn animal communication, animal massage, acupressure. I have interviews with great guests. So definitely go there to on YouTube. Look for me, Anne Angelo Webb, and the Animal Intuitive channel.
Yes, people will support Miss Anne Angela Webb because if you support her for sure, more and more empowering advocacy to come. So, Miss Anne,
Yes.
thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. And the book is anywhere books are sold, including Amazon.
Yes, definitely. More to come, people. See you soon.